Welcome to the Human Frequency. I've been putting a lot of thought into the subject of the housing market lately, and I've been wondering, why is it so out of control? It's even worse than it was 10 years ago. So I was thinking about this, and an answer finally came to me last night. And it's a theory, but I think it's worth consideration. Are Craigslist shills driving up housing prices?
That's a very interesting theory. And, we don't want to think that shills are all over Craigslist doing artificial things, but this kind of brings up an interesting point because we have dealt with shills from day one. Since we first got into this stuff over 5 years ago now, and up till the present day, and dealing with Etsy and their recent illegal doings. So we have a lot of experience in this field.
Well, shills are everywhere. So it occurred to me that maybe there are shills on Craigslist because there are shills all over the internet and in places you might not even expect. And yes, we've had experience with this for years. When we first got into chemtrail activism, back before I knew about Organite, we were both in that mindset of protesting, like as if the government was doing it, as if they could do anything about it. So we were in that mindset. So I was dealing with a different type of shill back then. In fact, the very first shill I ever encountered in person, in real life, was Mick West. He is the guy behind the website Contrail Science. And this website is all about saying there are no chemtrails. You're all imagining it. You're all nutjob conspiracy theorists. These are just lingering contrails.
Mm-hmm. Creating lots of different reasons why it's not what you think it is. And I think he runs a second website too. I think it's metabunk.org.
So anyway, we can all debunk Mick West pretty easily too. And in fact, if you want to listen to me going at it with him in a debate, it's an older video, but it's on our website, thechembo.com, in the media section. Just go to the bottom, and you'll see the Great Chemtrails Showdown. And Dean Ryan from InfoWars had me going up against Mick West. Very easy to debunk him. All you have to do is ask him a question and let him fall on his face. And that's what I did.
Yeah, and granted, this was a long time ago, and we have learned so many different things since then, mm-hmm. and it's completely changed our outlook on the whole subject. Not just the issue of chemtrails, but the atmosphere and the energies that are up there. They're actually causing the weather manipulation.
Well, Mick West is a very elementary level shill. He's a shill for the people who first learn about chemtrails. So he's there to say, you guys are all nuts. And this is like the lowest level of, well, actually he's a high level shill. He gets paid well, but I mean, it's the lowest rung of discovery. It's like when you're first making that journey of discovery, you hit the Mick West wall. And he's all over.
Mick West wall.
Yeah, he's all over the internet debunking people. But anyway, that was an interesting way to start out. And when I started out on Tumblr, I was getting shills there. It's impossible to be into any subversive topic and not have this happen. So after Mick West, we've had a lot of other experiences. I mean, you'd be amazed at how many people are hired to do this kind of stuff. There's email shills. There's people who literally send emails to people like me who put out information. They started doing this years ago. And you could tell after a while who the shill is because they're confrontational and they have this certain style where if you do get back to them, they break up your message into pieces and try to debunk every part of it. It's stuff like that. So the whole point of the email shill is time waste. They want to waste people's time, like me, who's very busy, and like Gabriel. They email us both. Shills like Mick West, they're out there as more of a kind of a internet moderator. They're out there checking out all these different sites and discussion boards and getting in there with their comments to say, you guys are all nuts. So there's so many levels to this.
But the interesting thing is that over the years, their tactics have changed. And this brings up something that I remember, Sharon, you telling me back around that time, 2011, 2012, is that the first stage is ridicule, the second stage is attack, and then the third stage is that something is accepted as truth.
Yes, so, like orgone energy is becoming very well known, and Organite is extremely popular now. So
exactly.
People are finally accepting the truth.
Back then, it was all about ridicule, like all of those Tumblr shills, but now it is definitely very far along into that attack phase.
It's so far into the attack phase that we can be assured that the acceptance phase is around the corner.
That's right.
On Tumblr, yes, I've had my share of shills on there. A lot of the shills are time wasters. if you're involved in serious work, they want to do whatever they can to get you off track. So they'll have people email you incessantly on certain topics. And it's just all about taking your attention away, and they'll just say something slightly wrong that you feel compelled to get back to. So anyway, I've dealt with that. Now, there were a couple incidences on Etsy that were crazy.
Oh,
there
yeah,
were
customers.
Merchandise shills, customer shills. I have never seen anything like this. We had a couple of them that one of them bought a pendant, and she must have put it in the microwave. I've never seen this kind of damage to a piece of organite.
Well, maybe she figured the microwave is just getting so bombarded with EMF that she wants to protect it.
She wants to protect the inside of the microwave with a piece of organite. Just unplug the microwave and use your oven. But what she did was she returned it. I said, well, sure, you can return it. Normally we don't accept returns after many, many months because of stuff like this. So this is before we made a rule. And I took it back, and it had holes in it. That never happens. And it was yellowed, like to brown almost. And even if I put it out in the sun for months and months, I've had some out in the sun for 3 years now. None of them looked like this. This looked like it had been through a nuclear war. Anyway, we refunded her, and she started hassling us about her $4 shipping cost. And it was like a nonstop battle. And I realized this isn't even a real customer. She is just trying to take our attention off our work. We had another one who was hilarious. She bought a bunch of stuff and then wrote us individual complaints about each item, how much she hated it.
Even the free gift.
Even the free gift. She really hated that free gift. Anyway, you would be amazed at who is hired out there. Etsy's full of them. The message boards are full of them.
But the thing about that incident is that sometimes they just exist to get you all riled up. But if you don't take the bait, they kind of back off. And that's exactly what happened with that last customer.
Yeah, we emailed back cordially about a paragraph, a few sentences. Please return to this address. We will refund all of your costs.
Never heard from her.
And yeah, so, that was just a time waster and trying to get us in a bad mood, because they know that if we're in a bad mood, we can't do planetary healing work. There's the most amusing shills of all are the party shills. If you have a group of subversive people getting together, like a bunch of well-known media personalities, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
It was in a home of a well-known media personality in the independent media, and there were a couple others there, and one who visited that's extremely well-known, and there were a lot of libertarians at this event, at this party, and a lot of subversive people, and they actually hired a guy to come out to the party. He was a party shill, and he was
Never
the
seen
guy.
anything like it.
He was the guy that had an argument for everything that we're against. GMOs, he had a reason they're safe. Vaccines, he has a reason they're safe. And chemtrails, those don't even exist. Mm-hmm. So the most amusing thing about the party shill and how I knew he was a shill, because you might say, oh, how do you know? You could just be reading into it. I got a message on Tumblr the day before that party where someone discussed Occam's razor and said, oh, well, because of Occam's razor,
Barf.
Because of Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is true, and the simplest explanation of chemtrails is that they're contrails. It was something to that effect. Then at the party, the guy that was debunking everybody on every topic showed a film, and the name of the film was Occam's razor. And, I could say his name because I've just mentioned his film, David West. Funny enough, same surname as Mick West.
Yeah.
And he was there at the libertarian and alternative people gathering to try to throw this monkey wrench in it. And I think to gather information. He asked me a lot of questions about our organite and our gifting. And I was very discreet in my answers. I didn't tell him anything that I don't put out there for the public. So here's the funny thing. So he shows the film called Occam's Razor, and I knew that it was the guy that emailed me on Tumblr. When I got home from the party, I emailed back the Occam's Razor guy on Tumblr, and I said, it was really nice to meet you tonight. Even though we disagreed on things, I really enjoyed talking with you. He unfollowed my blog, which he had just followed a couple days before. He unfollowed it at lightning speed. I caught him in the act. So anyway, needless to say, we have a lot of experience with shills. And it occurred to me the other day, because of our difficulties with housing, everybody in Southern California has housing problems. It's a huge problem here. The prices are astronomical and getting worse all the time. And we've been trying to move. We're looking around. It's hard to find a place, but we're putting the feelers out there. And I emailed 5 places. And the places I emailed were 2 were in LA. One was in Santa Clarita, one was in the mountains where we live now, and one was out in the Antelope Valley. All different houses, many different areas. Guess how many calls or emails I got back based on my calls and emails?
Well, I'm going to use Occam's razor to calculate that number and say 0.
It was none. And then I remembered back to 2016 when we were moving up here, and we were pretty desperate because we were emailing so many people and calling so many people off Craigslist, and we weren't getting responses. And it was getting down to the wire. So it was very, very stressful looking for a place to live. And I thought, why aren't they getting back to us? I was in property management in the past. I was a property manager in a building in Silver Lake. And after that, I became a landlord. I would say a property owner, because at the time I thought I owned the property. But I purchased an income property and a house in Portland where it was cheap. And I know from experience of managing property and being a landlord that if you have a vacancy, you want to get it filled right away. So I was so confused. Why aren't these people calling or emailing back? Do they not like my voice on the message? Do they not like the name Sharon? Is there something I did wrong? How come I'm not getting any calls or emails back? And then I said, oh, I got it. In a flash, it came to me. I have seen the prices in LA go insane to a degree that makes no sense in the logical world. I saw properties in Culver City and Mar Vista, 2-bedroom houses, $4,000 a month. That was last month. This month, Culver City, Mar Vista, $5,000 to $5,500 a month for the same 2-bedroom house. How did it get so high so fast? What's going on here? Nobody's calling me back. No one's emailing me back. Are these even real ads? It all came together. And the answer came to me that they are Craigslist shills. And my guess is for every real ad on there, there are dozens of fake ones. And what is the object? Well, grab a bunch of Gmail addresses and start putting up ads. Start putting up ads and make the rents crazy high. And then everyone thinks that's just what the rent is. So that was what I thought.
And you don't have to respond to any of them. So once you make the ad, your job's done.
Yes, and we have so many reasons why this could be the case. I just remember back in the day, in the 90s, when to get a rental, you used to have to look at classifieds, LA Times or the Recycler. If anybody's making the effort to put an ad in there, it's a real ad. It takes effort. You have to call. It's text. They have to write it out. I mean, I know because I tried to put in an ad in the Recycler for a brass player wanted, and they printed the ad as bass player wanted, no tubas. So it made no sense. It was supposed to say brass player wanted, no tubas. So you're calling them up, you're putting in the effort, you're getting it out there.
And then you get your flugelhorn player and everything's fine.
But what I'm saying is these are people who actually are looking for something. And if Craigslist is so easy to post an ad, it's a perfect forum for shills. And what is the place where everyone goes to look for rentals? Craigslist. Everyone goes there. Every city in the United States, it is the way you find a rental.
Is there even another alternative? I don't think so. And you have that perfect veil of anonymity on there where you don't know who is on there.
Well, I had the thought that the Craigslist shills, potentially, I mean, it's a theory, although knowing what I know about the internet and how corporate it is and that Craigslist was bought out years ago, I know the shills. They come with every website. They're on YouTube. They're on Etsy forums. Etsy hires them for their forums to talk up new features of Etsy that are detrimental to the buyers and the sellers. So I know they're out there. And my theory is that what is driving the crazy housing prices? Well, if it costs $4,000, now $5,000 to rent a 2-bedroom house in Mar Vista, then you go and look at Redfin or Realtor.com and you look up the houses, all of a sudden paying $950,000 for a 2-bedroom house doesn't look so bad because it's less than the rent. And that is the scam that I think is going on now because back 10 years ago when that bubble burst, the rents, and they were crazy. The housing prices were crazy. But what it's doing right now is so stupid, I can't even wrap my head around it. West LA area, 2-bedroom houses, Delray, Mar Vista, they're asking over $1 million for these houses. And this is not a $1 million house. This is like a $250,000, $300,000 house.
Realistically.
Realistically, but that's just not how it works.
Yeah, but that's what happens. You plug it into the mortgage calculator, and then you say, wow, I'm better off just buying this place, not renting it. And that's what they're going for.
Yeah, and now it's like got to the point where even a 3-bedroom ranch house in Temecula for $400,000 sounds like a good deal.
Temecula. Sorry. I'd like to get some royalties for that, but I also don't want to be sued.
I don't think, isn't that public
sued.
domain by then anyway?
Well, I can't be sued. I'm a living man. So
that's true.
Take your best shot, guys.
So if rental prices are so out of hand that we're now looking at ranch homes in Temecula and thinking 400,000 is okay, we've got to think, how did the prices get this out of hand? So it was pretty shocking to me when I thought about this too. So it's not just like I'm just saying this without having thought about it. Etsy shills are out there generating consensus on the message boards, and
Big
it
time.
is very
false consensus.
And it was very shocking to me when I realized that potentially Craigslist could be full of fake ads, and so I've seen so many spoofs of ads too. I've seen an ad that I was responding to where that same exact text and pictures were taken and put on another ad, and it had a different price in a different location. I saw the text being taken for yet a third ad with different pictures. I think they're just grabbing pictures and making fake ads.
My question is, who the hell can afford to leave a property unrented month after month after month? You see some of these listings, they're on there 6 to 8 months or more. And
they're not real. They're just not real. And that is exactly another one of the points that comes up is who would leave our property unrented? If you don't rent out your property, you don't have the money for the mortgage. So this all is just so much evidence. And we thought that maybe it was just landlord mind games.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's
that.
a lot of that. We have experienced that, especially in Los Angeles, but it doesn't explain the degree to which this is happening and the volume of listings that just exhibit these same patterns that you were talking about.
And we already know there are a lot of fakes on Craigslist, because who hasn't gotten the response where they ask you to wire money to Ghana because they're a missionary and they're working there and they'll mail you the keys after you wire the money? Who hasn't gotten that?
By the way, if any of you are in Ghana, we're not picking on you. Just pretend we said, Togo or Burkina Faso or Chad or something.
Any of the above, somewhere very, very far from here, to wire money and receive keys by mail. So you see those all the time. So if those are out there, to the point where Craigslist is warning you not to ever wire money to people because they do know that there's criminals out there, then who's to say there aren't a bunch of shills out there driving up housing prices? It's just so easy to do.
Yep.
Well, anyway, I don't know what the solution to this is. I'm thinking that we shouldn't rent or buy. And I want to know what the third option is.
Homesteading.
So crashing on a desert plot.
Well, there's a couple caveats here. If you're going to homestead, don't be one of those people who only showers once every 2 weeks and wears a lot of camo, and they're just holding their HK-91. They got 1 billion rounds of ammo, and they're just waiting for the whole thing to drop so they can go out there and use that stuff.
Are we back to the Libertarian Party with the party shill?
I hope so.
Sounds like the people at the party. Yeah, but there's got to be some other option. I think right now the best thing is hang tight where you are. I just don't feel comfortable getting involved in this. And we're looking at now $2,000 a month as a good deal for a 1-bedroom in LA. Something is wrong. Something is amiss because people do not make the income to pay these rents. And I don't think it's isolated to LA. This is a problem, I think, nationwide. I think we've hit on it. I think we've hit on the cause. I don't know how to prove it. There might be ways to kind of go undercover and just email a ton of places as a prospective tenant and see how many get back to you. I don't know if I don't know how many of them are fake and how many are real. What I do know is that I only email houses and I only call people about houses, and they're almost always fake. So maybe the apartments are real, who knows? They might be. What I'm seeing is that nationwide, this is an issue. I've checked on rents in other places, and they are also too high. Housing prices are too high, and they don't seem to show any signs of coming down. We're waiting, but I don't see it. I saw an apartment for rent on Wilshire Boulevard, 2-bedroom, kind of a luxury apartment, $7,500 a month. Are you kidding me? Who can afford $7,500 a month that would live in an apartment?
Not I.
Maybe people in New York, and that's another place where it's crazy overinflated. So this is just food for thought. I wanted to put it out there because we just thought about this, and there's a lot of evidence pointing to some kind of scam driving housing prices. Something's got to be driving it, and it's not interest rates. People buy houses no matter what the interest rate is. Something else is causing the hysteria. What is it?
I don't know, but the only thing I can say is the solution is move to Ghana.
And homestead.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Human Frequency. Please come to our website, thekembo.com. Check out our blog, our YouTube channel, and all the other things. We're going to be moving our store soon, so please keep your eye out for that. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.